and welcome to Youth Talk. I am your host, Mariam Smith Bastaldo. Today, the topic we're going to be discussing is living with a single parent. And in studio, we have with us Quazel John, and he is here to help us, to be able to understand a little bit more on how it is living in a single parent home, and to maybe better encourage us, those of us who are living with single parents, to encourage us, at times where we might need that encouragement. And before we get into the questions, Quazel, just tell us a bit about yourself.
That depends. What would you like to know? What would you like to know about me?
All right. So we would like to know, the viewers would like to know probably what you do, both in the church and out of the church,
right?
And maybe where you grew up and.
All right. Well, as she said, my name is none other than Quazel John. I would have grew up in the very, very small village of Betsy's Hope, Tobago. That's on the eastern side. They say wise men come from the east.
That's right.
Right? So, from a very small village of Betsy Hope, I would have lived a very, I would say, wonderful childhood. Coming out of primary school, Signal Hill Primary, then Bishop's High School. Graduating from there, I would have gone to Trinidad and done studies, further studies in the field of drafting and architectural designs. I would have worked at the Department of Works and Infrastructure for just over a year. I now work at the wonderful institution of Tobago Information Technology up at Signal Hill, where I now work within the 211 department. I do drafting and architecture privately now, rather than working for the government. I now work alongside the government.
That's right.
Within the church, I am involved in the youth aspect in terms of the youth development, the youth leadership, whether it be upfront youth leadership or supporting the youth leader of my church. I'm also involved in many other churches within their youth department, whether it be just advice, whether it be just sitting and to give a listening ear to whether it be the youths or even the youth leaders, and other like NGOs within youth. Like I'm a part of certain programs of the Ministry of Youth Affairs, right? So it's for me personally, I'll just say once it's youth oriented. Once it's youth, because I personally believe in investing in people and investing in the now generation and the generations to come. And as a result of that, things that me personally I find, as we just say, I find should have been done in terms of my development, and persons of my generations that we would have missed out on. I like to ensure that it happens for the generations after, even try my best to instill it in my generation and those to come.
That's right. Oh wow, that was wonderful. And you said that you do personal architecture.
Yes.
So for those of you that are listening that would need an architect, could you give us a number we could contact?
Well, you can contact me. I have an official company by the name of Drafter Constructions Limited. You can look us up on Facebook. Look for Q&S Constructions as well. I'm affiliated with them heavily as well. Contact number is 301-7868. That's 301-7868. That's digital. Be mobile is 708-1603. That's 708-1603. Quazel John is the name, right? Or the drafting man or the architect, however you want to term it. As long as you contact me, I'll be happy to render this service.
That's excellent advice. Okay, let's get into our question.
Right.
And we know that the topic is living with a single parent. So could you tell us how does living with a single parent affect a youth?
Well, living with a single parent, firstly, I like to say it wouldn't affect everyone in the same way, because living with a single parent, or living with that one parent first thing has to take into consideration is which parents you're living with, right? Because there are some things that you could grasp immediately from someone who would have lived with their mother alone or someone who would have lived with their father alone. And then you would get the personality traits of that parent. So if it is, let's say a male would have lived with their father alone, and their father they were an aggressive person, then it's one of the two things. That child will try his male, his very best to not be an aggressor.
Right.
But the truth is, where that is concerned, you portray what you know.
So it will be somehow instilled
in you because that's what you know. I remembered I had an uncle, and he as I said, he was a really good uncle to us. But when it comes to his correction, we knew, because I have 4 aunts, well, 3 other aunts and my mother, so it's 4 of them, and then my uncle, so he was the male in the house. So whenever any of us had to be corrected, straight to uncle. Yeah, my mother fighting up and think she might pelt in 2 lash. Even if she pelt in 2 lash, by the time uncle here again, like he by over the fight. So, and he was a stern one. So when he step in, so sometimes even when I'm dealing with something, and it may not be aggressive, but it would be definitely firm immediately, right. You know. So and the point I'm making is, because that is what the environment in terms of when it comes to correction you were brought up in, you immediately turn to that. Now, even let me just say it's not correction, but you would have grown up with your dad, and everything was aggressive. Morning. Daddy are going to bed, wait a minute, first go to bed. You know, everything was aggressive. Then you now in turn reflecting that. I say, it's either trying to fight it real hard, but chances are, the truth is, you portray what you know, right? So that is what you know, that is what's embedded in you from day one. Let's be real, that is what you're going to portray. Unless there's some kind of counseling and these kind of things to eradicate that way of thinking and behavior, right? And it comes to the same thing in the opposite light. You are a male. You have no uncles, you have no stepdad, you only grew up with mommy. Mommy is a pretty person, mommy always dolls up and stuff. Then 10 to 1, chances are your mother could walk into the bathroom, see you putting on makeup, because that is all the male knows. Same thing as if it was female, you know. So you it's
a balance.
Yeah, it influences you in terms of you do what you know, you portray what you receive. So when it comes to you having to deal with situations and stuff, you could only deal with it from a perspective of that which you've been taught. And I'm speaking here solely of the things that you will learn in the home. I'm not speaking about what you might learn in school, from the teacher, in your church. I'm speaking about what you will learn in the home, because that is all you know. You only know mommy, in whether it be male or female, and same thing, you only know daddy, you know. I may not be able to fully elaborate what it might be for a female to only grow up with a mom, but you know, especially let's look at a case of a mom having a child, let's say out of wedlock, about 17 years. So she's 17, she's now having a child, and the father say, hey, I ain't ready for that, you know, and she says, you know what, this is my child, I'm going to bring your child to the world, I'm going to raise my child. But the truth is, she herself may not be fully developed in terms of understanding life, understanding what it is to live, and especially, more importantly in this case, what it is to bring up a child in this world, this 21st century world that we live in.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, you know. So imagine she now having to bring up, let's say, another female, teaching her how to dress, but you yourself don't even know how to dress properly. Teaching her how to speak, teaching her about education, and you yourself have to drop out of school. So now you're in a position, let's say you drop out of school, and now you want to make sure your child gets a good education, but you don't even know the process of how it is to go through schooling. So you know, all you know is to try your best to force book book. Every time you see the child, come pick up a book. Because all you know that living without education, you as a parent wasn't the best thing. But you don't know the proper procedure to let the child now accept that learning is a good tool. So let me encourage my child to learn. But the child really actually don't even know what it is to go through school, and you know. So it really needs I always say it always needs a balance in the home. It always needs a balance in the home.
Yes, it does. Because well, you said that you might not have been able to elaborate on
female point of view.
I grew up with my mother.
Yeah, your mom.
Yeah, I never knew my father.
Right.
My mom said he left when I was something about 3 years old.
Wow.
So
yeah, you never knew that.
Growing up with a single parent,
right.
For me it was not easy, but mommy always made sure that we had everything.
Right.
She did her best. She worked 4 jobs. She worked security in the night from 6 to 6 in the night to 6 the next morning. Then from the security she would go and iron for a lady.
Right.
And from there she would leave to go and clean another lady's house.
Wow.
And then she had 10 days. So that was 4 jobs.
4 jobs.
And my sister, who was old enough, she would take care of us while mommy goes to work. So sometimes you might not see mommy for 2 days or 3 days.
3 days.
And then, because sometimes she would skip 10 days and work a double shift.
In one of these jobs.
Yeah,
right.
so that she would be able to make, and it was 9 of us. So
wow.
she then had to provide. Only God knows how she did it. Because I'm telling you, I have 3 kids. I have my husband. And you know, sometimes you still find, okay, how mommy did this, because I have only 3 and mommy had 9.
And helps. You have 3 and help.
I have 3 and a help. So, you know, sometimes even dealing with the kids, and it's 3 of them, sometimes I would just have to dress back and say, honey, I can't. And he would then come in.
Yeah, step in.
But the thing is, children, as you said, it needs to have a balance. Because when daddy goes to work, sometimes I see a difference in the children's behavior. They sometimes want to do things that they're not allowed to do because they know mommy might be a little softer. So they would then do things around me that they would not do when
daddy is there.
And I have begun to acknowledge that. So I'm now taking tips from my husband on how to
deal with them.
Yeah, how to deal with them. Yes, but we have a lot of questions. Let's move on to our next question. What percentage of youths do you think live in a single parent home?
Oh, Well, I'll use two analogies to respond to that. All right. I'll use first my community that I would have grown up in. And I would say out of 10 of us, 8 to 9,
wow.
yeah.
Wow, thank goodness.
Yeah. Because even if I look at just the small circle that of male and few female friends that I would have grown up with in my vicinity, if there was 5 of us, at least 3 to 4 of us. Yeah. You know, and
why? Okay, this question is supposed to come a bit later on.
No.
As you're saying this, I really am feeling it. So I want to know how and why does this happen? Why? And okay, before you answer that, tell us what parents would be the one growing the children up.
Well, firstly, most of them that I know of, and I think I could boldly say is mostly female mothers. We grow with mothers. But before I answer the next question, the next analogy I was going to use is back in school. Let's say our class had about 40. We actually did a survey, and it was something like 30 plus.
What? Without.
And I think the total number of my class was 42. And at some point in time, it went up to 43 for a transfer student.
Is
and
that in
30
a private
plus.
school or
When I was high school, I was speaking about in Bishops, you know. So we could immediately see the vast amount of children or students or even now adults that would have grown up in a single parent home. And just reflecting on back in high school, there was a obvious, it was so obvious, like you could tell, you grew up with mommy, you grew up with daddy. This home seemed balanced.
Yeah.
You see discipline in each child, you could see leeway, you could see well structured, so you could kind of see full balance in it. Now, I'm not saying that there's absolutely no way for a child to grow up balanced without both parents. But there's just some things that add on mommy and daddy. Even in your situation, you see, there's some things that mommy would allow, daddy just wouldn't allow, and the children would just know how to be disciplined, balance between the both. The next question, what was the question again?
Oh goodness, why does this happen? And
Well, ask me that question, I would tell you a choice, choice. My response would definitely be it's a choice. And then circumstances make some situations what they are. For example, two persons together, they're together for 2-3 years. All right, I think it's time we have a kid, right? Or in the structure that I would now stand to say, let's say they even get married. And and they do go on to have a child. The child is now 3-4 years, so that's what, 6 years of relationship now. And one of them realized this just not working. The relationship not working. However, at the end of the day, they're gonna make the choice to still be there for the kid. Hopefully, I'm praying that is what happened. One makes a choice, one leaves. 10 to 1, that child is going to stay with the mom.
Yeah.
Even if you take it to court and all that, most times it rules in favor of the mom, especially if she has a good job and these different things to come to play, right? And so she is now the single parent of the child. He now probably would visit and so forth, or if custody rules where he might have some time or so forth. The point I'm making is that it's a choice. These parents made a choice to separate, right? Let's look at a different instance where a 20-year-old young lady gets pregnant by a boyfriend. They never really set grounds. It's a relationship. It's probably a sexual one. She gets pregnant. He bust out. I ain't ready for no kid. But you know what, I'll still try my very best as a young man. He's probably 25. I'll try my very best to stand my ground and maintain the relationship, at least for the child. And, she is now left there as a single parent to go through all the emotions of the kid. He's hardly around, but he might financially support the child for however long. And, so it comes down to the choice of either parent. Even if the child lives with the dad, it's still the choice of the mother for how much you want to be a part of the child's life. And this is also provided to the fact that, let us not be naive, but there are the situations and cases where man and woman would have bring forth a child and the mother don't want the father to see the child. Let's not be naive to that, right? Or vice versa. But most times, at least the cases that I will know of or heard of, is the other way around, where is the mother don't want the father to be a part of the child's life or so forth. And the child now has to grow up in a world only knowing the identity of one parent. Sometimes that child may never know who their dad is, in this case, vice versa. But most chances of the mother is if the mother may pass away or something like that. But there's just some mothers who just don't want, I don't want that thing to do with you.
And I think that is because of the relationship that the parents might have had. So the child then now has to face that pressure.
Victim of circumstance.
Of the entire thing. So the child has to face that pressure. And well, in my situation, some youths, as you say, never get the chance to meet their parents. In my situation, I met my father this year after 20-something years.
Ah.
I have never seen the man. I don't know how. If I would have passed him straight on
Straight,
the road.
going and coming.
And this year, when my sister died, it happened in a kind of bittersweet moment because my sister died. I have a sister that passed away,
Right.
Salima.
Right.
And while passing the news around, with loved ones, we found out that he was alive.
Oh.
And we got into contact with him. He said he would come for the funeral, and that is how I met my father. It's not the way I wanted to meet him. It was awful.
Definitely
but
bittersweet.
Nice, yes, bittersweet.
Definitely bittersweet.
I just and another thing that I always say is I thank God for him not being in our lives when I look back. Because I would have been a Muslim for today, I would not have known Christ.
Wow.
So God allows everything to happen.
With reason and purpose.
That's it. So I really thank God for him not being there and for me being able to know Christ. Yeah, so that's it.
Well, it goes, no, because I mean, that's what I say, every situation is different. Every situation is different, but I understand. I definitely understand what you're saying.
Yes. So we could be moving on to our next.
Yes.
Did you grow up in a single parent?
I definitely didn't grow up in a single parent home. I grew up with my mom, a wonderful woman. Just like you. Well, there were 9 of you, there was only 1 of me. But I guarantee you, no, I have a wonderful little brother, but he came after 11 years.
Oh, yes.
So I still kind of, had, especially that toddler, kind of into young adult, just before the teenage, I kind of grew up myself. Even when he born, you can take you a few years before we could really start, meshing. But I mean, I'm happy it kind of happened that way because now, I could always look out for him, But in terms of growing up within a single parent, I mean, it was 9 of y'all, but I feel at some days that my mother thought it was 9 of me.
Were you a miserable child?
What? I was good miserable.
Okay,
Oh gosh. But hey, viewers, please pray for my mom.
Yes.
She had her hands full, and now I was one of those, trying to be honest, here. I think at some point in time in my life, I was a kind of rebellious kind of child. I was kind of rude, and then that would have come from, mommy allowing certain things to kind of fester. But I thank God I still had the instilling of my grandparents. They were all there, and into a few years of my toddlers, I had a stepdad who is still in my life today. And within my youthful days, he could attest to this. I was a terror. I sit down, it took me until I turned a young adult to actually go to him and apologize. And I'm saying this with reason and purpose, people. Because of the fact that I would have then realized how much terrible I was as a child. I used to look to pick fight for no reason.
Were you a bully?
To him? And that's because, I would have felt, kind of detached from my mom, Yeah. So I'm already growing up in a single parent home with my mom alone. And then you use my stepfather, so you just want to come.
Come from nowhere.
You just come from nowhere. My mother is all I have. And even up to this day, I really love my mom. We have a really awesome relationship. And as I always say, my mom, to me, my mom is all I have. We have a really, really good relationship. And, growing up, it had its bittersweet moments. And I always use the term finding your identity, because that's one major thing growing up in a single parent's home. You kind of always want to know where you come from.
True.
You may have some traits, some personality, some distinctive personality. if you grow up with mom, you know it can come from mommy.
Right.
You look at because in this case, you might know your mother's background. You're looking at from granny, grandfather, aunts, uncles. You know that end come from them. So it now kind of leaves you to find out if this is just you, if you just have a passion for it, or if it's a part of your dad or your dad's family identity. You know, in my case, one analogy is that my mommy red. Look at my complexion, people. When I say red, it's not pale as in white red, but she red. Anybody know my mom? She's red skin. So it's like I always want to know, you know, I was always pray to God that my daughter gets she can, you know, I skip a generation. But the point I'm making is you're always looking to kind of look back to see your identity. You know, I am heavily business oriented. I love business. My mommy,
Was she business oriented?
no, my mom, she prefers a regular 8 to 4 life and she's comfortable with that. And clearly she makes her ends meet with that, you know, because I was lacking of almost anything. Whatever I needed was provided for. Whatever I wanted, she tried her very, very best. But I could guarantee the things I needed, my schoolings, my snacks and all those things for school, and trust me, I was lacking of nothing where that is concerned. And even the days that I wasn't, is because she didn't get it in time. It's not that she didn't get it, you know. So, but in other things, like I trying to figure out, but why I had to just recently, a few years ago, I had to force my mom into business, literally. Yeah, of course it will, because it's still going for today. It's doing exceptional. But the point is, you know, you're wondering where you got that personality trait from. And then in years to come, I come to figure out it's from my dad. Because he's heavily business oriented. You just say biz and he says this. And he finds a way to make it work. That's him, you know. So the point I want to make is, and this might just be one identity for me personally, but for every person that would have grown up in a single parent home, I am sure, I am absolutely next to certain they would have gone through that identity kind of, if you want to call it crisis, you know, to fix that kind of struggle to just figure out, you know, you might, like my mom, she's short, I want to know why so tall. You know, like those different things, you know, you're just trying to figure out where it would have come from. And you would have then learned that, you know, it would have come from either one of the parents and so forth, you know.
But sometimes it might skip a generation.
Well, I openly call it skip a generation.
My last son, my first 2 children, they look like their father. And my last son, he's 10 months old.
Right.
And he doesn't look like me. And he hardly looks like the dad. So I was now wondering until I saw my husband's aunt. And you would swear that that is her child. My husband's aunt. You know, not even my husband's mother, my husband's aunt. His hair is just like her. They have a kind of Indian something in them. And he took everything from the aunt. It skipped my husband's mother and went to her sister.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing about genes, and that's the thing, and that's the point I was making about identity. Not genes, pants, viewers. You know, genetics.
Yes, that's it.
Right, and that's how it happens. You know, so for every child or kid or young adult or even adult now who would have suffered with that identity crisis, it's just a matter of knowing where you come from or who you would have come from, getting contact with the family if you could, and you would definitely see yourself connecting with those persons in different genetics, whether it be color, whether it be the way you think, the way you react, the way you respond. The truth is, you could grow up with mom, and then you might even hear your mommy say, "You're just like your father." You even know the man. Right. You might even meet the man. He might be around you very few. But that's the thing about genetics. That is the thing about genetics, and that's the thing about identity, where, you know, it's found in either one of the children, in either one of the parents that has now been found in the child.
Yes. And I am so sorry, but we have to come to a close now. That time passed so fast, eh?
Close?
Yes, we do. We have to come for a close. And just a reminder for the parents, Get your kids ready for Little Beauties for Jesus. It's coming up. Auditions begin the first Saturday in November. You have to contact me to get a registration form. You can contact me at 394-7229.